Hi and welcome to this week's live stream. Hey everyone, sorry I'm a little bit late for the live stream, but not too late, about 13 minutes or something like this. So I hope no one was waiting too long for this, but yeah, made it. Shout out to any young dads out there. I just put my son to bed and I just realized my shirt is a little creasy because I just when I put my son to bed I lie with him in bed and it creases my shirt, but you know, that's how it is sometimes. You know, we gotta just go live stream with creased shirts as dads with young kids. That's how it is. Hey Paul from France, how's it going? Nice one. Thanks for joining the live stream. So today we're looking at playing live as a solo singer, songwriter, and guitarist. And I thought this is a very broad topic, you know. I thought I would just kind of look at various different subjects within this topic. You know, we can go really, really deep on this, but I don't want to go too deep. But I've kind of picked 6 topics that I want to kind of look at. The first one is preparation, getting prepared for the live gig and everything that entails. Utilizing Soundcheck effectively. And the third one is managing nerves. And that's something that I've had to kind of deal with. I think most people have to deal with that playing live. The next one is connecting with the audience and dealing with technical difficulties. That's one that comes up a lot. And the last thing that I want to look at is learning from previous shows. So I hope everyone's well. I hope you're good wherever you are. I hope you're having a great Saturday. Here in Berlin, it's just after 9 p.m. So we're just kind of getting ready for the evening. As I said, I put my son to bed. He had a bit of a late one today. Usually he's not in bed that late. He's 6, so he's a little wild, especially on the weekend. But yeah, so let's just kick it off. So some of you might have been playing for a while. Some of you might not have been playing live shows at all. And I mean, some of you probably have been playing longer than me. So I'm just really interested in starting this conversation and just seeing what your opinion is on this. Whether you're watching this live on the live stream or whether you're watching the replay as well. So the first thing I want to talk about is preparing for a live gig. And just let me know in the chat, actually, if you are playing live shows, just say me, or have been playing live shows at any point, just say me. And that's also for the replay as well. You can say that, just so I get an idea about how many people are actually playing live. I mean, you know, saying this playing live, I haven't actually played a live show in a little while, just because of my situation, and COVID then hit, and just my kind of situation as a family guy. It didn't really allow me or it didn't make sense for me to go on crazy tours anymore. But you know, with young kids, it's hard. But then I'm hoping that will regain at some point in my life. I'm sure it will. So I haven't actually done a show in a little while, but I'm, in the past, I've done a lot. I've done a lot of shows in the past, so I still have knowledge of all these things. and a lot of experience, So we start with preparation. So know your songs. This is something. Know your songs. I think that's first and foremost. I mean, I think I'm really guilty of it. I find it really hard to remember my lyrics. It's something really, my memory is really bad, and I have to just go over my lyrics. If I'm not playing my songs often, and I suddenly have to try and play them, I forget the lyrics a lot. The music I remember a lot better than the lyrics, but yeah, that's something that is almost vital for to play a concert. Is to remember your songs, learn your songs, know your songs inside out. And any song you're going to play, not necessarily you have to. You're going to be playing your songs, although this is in the title. I said for a singer-songwriter, but we all do the odd covers as well. So just learn the songs that you're going to be playing is the first and foremost obvious, and then the set list. So there's various people that do different things. I think I definitely write a set list. I even go to an extent of like writing little bits that I should mention in between songs as well, because that's something that I have struggled with in the past. Is actually, I'm no problem to play the song, but it's the in between bits that I always struggled with, and I'd, the what do I say to the audience that I struggled with for years. But I found that when I wrote down kind of little bits of what I should remember to mention about the song, about certain situations that can relate to maybe the next song, I found that good to do. So I would include that in my set list, But I know there's other people that also just don't have a set list. There's some people that I've heard that just know all of their songs so well that they can just spur of the moment. So the idea, I guess, there is kind of feeling what the audience wants and then adjusting accordingly. I don't think I could do that. I think it takes a lot of guts doing that. I like to be somewhat prepared and have some kind of set list, And of course, we can change that as we're going. I think that's probably wise to do that, depending on how the audience is reacting. But I definitely couldn't just go without a set list at all. I couldn't do that personally. Let's go to the chat here. There's a few things going on. Paul says, yeah, been there, done that. Still learning every time. Yeah, okay. Hey, is that Joanne from New York? How's it going from New York? What time is it there? Is it 12 o'clock or something? Maybe? Or is it 3 o'clock? I don't know. Something like this. The afternoon, huh? Cool. That's nice. How's it going? Welcome to the live stream. Good to have you. So yeah, we were talking about preparation for a live show, and the next thing is gear and making sure that your gear is working. And it seems like an obvious one, It seems like I'm saying these obvious things, and I'm going to go into sort of gear a little bit. I don't want to go too heavy on the gear, but I'll show you a little bit of kind of what I do live, and show you how I kind of get prepared a little bit with my gear. But definitely making sure that the gear is all working, that the guitar sounds good, new strings and everything like that, and that all your cables are working okay. I actually have a cable tester, it's good to get a cable tester and test all your cables and just making sure that the signal's coming through and everything like this. And if you're using pedals or anything like this, making sure that that's working. I mean, it's an obvious one, you know, but you'd be surprised how many people don't check these things. But I just want to show you a little bit of what I use. So this is my sort of gigging guitar, my main guitar. It's a Loudon 010. It's a cedar top and mahogany back and sides. It's kind of a jumbo size. Made in 1994. It's a beautiful guitar. I'm just gonna, so I've got it actually plugged in. I don't usually have it plugged in to the pickup on the live streams, but I'm just, as an example of showing you what I use a little bit, just touching on a little bit. I don't want to go too deep, as I said, because we can go down this rabbit hole very deep. And maybe I'll do that on another live stream. But for now, I just want to kind of mention a little bit of what I use. So I use a K&K Trinity pickup system. And it's basically 3 contact pickups just underneath, inside the guitar, underneath the bridge here. And they basically, pick up the vibrations and then goes through. And it's into the end pin jack. You can see that. It's just a passive pickup, but it's a really nice sounding pickup. And then I'm going just through 2 things. I've got a preamp, radial tone bone preamp, and then I'm going into a Strymon reverb, blue sky reverb pedal, and that's it. And then that's my pickup. I'll just show you how that sounds. So the reverb is quite long, quite loud actually. I might not have it this prominent. Have it a little bit less. Oops. So I find with pickups, you always get they never really sound 100% acoustic. It sounds nice for what it is. But that's why I always like to use a microphone, even live. So I use this Neumann KM184 live on stage, and then I blend the 2. So this is what the Neumann sounds like. And obviously, we're not in a live situation here. Obviously, I'm live streaming, but we're not in the situation of on stage where you have monitors and things going on. So I would usually have this going through my own preamp, and it would be next to me, and then I'd have it going through an EQ, a parametric EQ. So then I could actually, and what I do is I actually go through the signals and I find which are the problem signals, so the signals that are causing me feedback on stage, and then I cut them out as much as possible. So that's usually the low end frequencies. So I'm usually left with like the high end frequencies on the microphone. But that's okay, because that's what I'm looking for. You know, I'm not necessarily looking for something deep and rich sounding like this is now. I'm just looking for something kind of airy and acoustic sounding, that's what it gives me. So, but the pickup now, this is the pickup again. And I do have, and I would normally EQ that a little bit better. But just as an example here now, I haven't really EQ'd it that much. And you can kind of tell it's got that sort of pizzo kind of sound. Not too bad. There's a lot worse sounding piezo style pickups that sound just really plasticky and not so nice. But this is actually really nice sounding, and it's very deep. You can really push the low end on this pickup, which I like. So then I could kind of combine those two with this, the low end of the pickup, and then the high ends of the kind of airy high ends of the microphone, blended with the two. I'll just do an example of that now, but obviously it's not in the perfect situation to show you, but just to give you an idea, that's the two of them combined. And obviously I would kind of mix them to get the level that I want. And that's basically what I would use for my pickup system on my guitar, just to give you an idea. So yeah, check gear is working, spare cables, strings, batteries, guitar. And talking about spare things, I usually try and take with me a spare set of most things. Obviously you can't take a spare set of absolutely everything. I would like to, but then it just gets ridiculous. I usually actually take a spare guitar with me just in case. I very rarely go play live with one guitar only. But definitely spare cables, spare strings, spare batteries if you use anything that needs a battery, like a tuner or anything like this. Yeah, these are kind of the main things. But obviously if things that are like, I don't usually take a spare preamp with me. If the preamp goes, then I just, it's never gone on me. But if it does, then I would just, I don't know what I would do. I would figure out a way of continuing. I could actually just not use the mic and finish without using the mic, that song, and then try and sort it out after or whatever. But, you know, I don't think you have to take a spare set of everything necessarily. Joanne says 3:22 p.m. Yeah, I thought it was around just after 3 in New York. Nice. Neil Wallbank, hello from Northern Ireland. Hey Neil, how's it going? Good to see you. Thanks for joining. And got another comment there, but I can't see it for some reason. Someone says a 6 biodynamic mic for voice. I'm kind of in between using mics. I never really found anything that fit me perfectly for vocals. I was going through different phases of things. I used a Sennheiser mic for a while. I can't remember the model number. A Corsair, a Shure SM58. They're always good, you know. But I'm actually looking for, I'm looking around, you know. I'm looking around. I was looking at these handheld condenser mics, you know. You can get a lot of these handheld condensers. AKG makes some, and Rode makes some cheaper end ones, and Neumann makes some really nice ones. But the good thing with them, the handheld condensers, because they're designed to be on stage for vocals, and they're condensers. It just basically gives you, I find, a little more space in between, so you don't have to be really close up on the mic. Because I find when I'm playing guitar, I like to have, I rock around and I move quite a bit. So I like to have a bit of distance between the microphone and my mouth, basically. I don't always like to be straight on it. Like with an SM58, a lot of the time you have to be fairly close to it to get any kind of decent frequencies coming through. But so with the vocal mic, I'm kind of in between stuff and haven't really decided completely yet. But obviously I wouldn't, this is a ribbon mic I'm using at the moment. I wouldn't be using that live. No way. Joanne says, you have me thinking about Loudon guitars. Parlor size, perhaps. Yeah, I mean, they do smaller ones for sure. The F models are slightly smaller and the S models. But, I can't get on with small guitars too well. Not the Loudons, at least. I had an F. I can't remember the model number exactly, but it was one of their smaller ones. I just couldn't get on with it at all. I have to have the big ones. There's just something about having the big body of the guitar that it's just, I like it or something. I don't know. Anyway, let's move on to number 2, which is utilizing Soundcheck effectively. So part of this is like knowing what you want and communicating that to the sound engineer. I went through a phase of, I have to remember now because it's been so long since I did a gig. I have to remember what I did. I was a point where I actually wrote down my sound check. I had like a separate set list for my sound check. So I wrote down exactly what I wanted to try and exactly which songs I wanted to try out on these particular things. And a lot of the time, it wouldn't be songs. The songs would be kind of later once every little thing is finalized in the sound check. Then I'd try a song, but it'd be more like little bits of things. Like when I would check the vocals and the vocal microphone. I would write down like what song I would like to sing, what part of song I would like to sing to do a sound check on. And I think that really helped me, because a lot of the time I didn't really know what I wanted to try. I would just do the first song that came to my head or the first song that was on the set list or whatever. And I think it's important to check every kind of range of everything that you're going to be doing, So that's what I did. And I definitely recommend doing something like that. But also knowing what you're going to say to the sound engineer, because the sound engineer is one of the most important people when you're doing a live show. They're like, you want to make the sound engineer your best buddy and learn their name. That's the first thing I would do. When I got to a venue, I would find the sound engineer and I would learn their name and I would introduce myself and really like say their name a few times in my head, because I'm really bad at remembering names anyway. So I have to say people's names in my head a few times or out loud to remember them. Just because, if you feel they feel that you're making an effort, then that really goes a long way, because they can really make you sound, if they really want to, they can make you sound rubbish, but they can make you sound really great as well. Obviously every sound engineer does their best, I'm sure, and wants you to sound amazing, but I'm sure it's not always the case. You know, if you're not being nice to the sound engineer, then why should they put in the extra effort to make you sound as best you can? You know, so yeah, be very nice to the sound engineer. That's kind of what I do. Yeah, and I actually said that there. Plan your sound check. I've written that down, but I said that before. What you play when you play. That's something I do. And on sound checks, a good sound check can positively impact your performance. You know, I always felt like if I had a good sound check, then I would feel ready to do my show. You know, it would I'd feel so much better than if I had a really bad sound check. You know, so it can really affect you, the sound check. And I never really thought about that before, but it really, really can. So the sound check is, I feel, it's one of the most important things. And I'm sure we've all had these gigs, these shows of not getting a sound check. I've done many of them before, and I might even do some more of them in the future. Who knows? But you know, especially if it's a festival or something like this, and time is really, really tight, you get very, very limited time sound checking, and if any. And if you have a complicated setup, then that can be stressful and cause problems. That's why I think it's great to have as simple setup as you can. Although I like to have complicated setup because I just like having stuff, different guitars and different sounds. But yeah, definitely having a simple setup is the best way to go, because you don't have to worry about things breaking or things going wrong. You know, the more things you have, then the more problems can occur, basically. Yeah, so that's on Soundcheck. Yeah, as I said earlier, so if anybody, if you are a performing musician, if you are actually playing live, then just say me on the chat, just so I get an idea of how many people are actually do play live shows of any kind. It doesn't matter what it is. It could be open mics, it could be full-on tours. And if you have any other questions or comments or anything like that, then please don't hesitate to put them in the chat. I'll do a song now, actually. I'm going to do Another Monday, which was off my latest album. And this is a song about the day that my son was born. Was the most amazing and the most crazy day of my life. But I found it bonkers that it was just another Monday for most people. So it's about that. It was a long winter winter's day, and the sun came my way. Couldn't believe, and like millions before, we're just in awe, his mum and me. All the stress we endure could hardly take more pain in our heads. Oh, you're not alone, got 12 kids at home, the taxi man said. And oh, the weather is bad and the traffic's the same. To anybody else, it's just another Monday. And all them people are mad, and the trains are delayed. To anybody else, it's just another Monday. In this bubble we are, and we've made it thus far. 10 hours in, but the next 13 hours will be harder still, and that's when it begins. My, oh my, what a sight, as your mum holds me tight, as she breathes. And the next push he'll be here, just wait and see. 1, 2, 3. Oh, the weather is bad and the traffic's the same. To anybody else, it's just another Monday. And all them people are mad, and the trains are delayed. To anybody else, it's just another Monday. That was Another Monday. From my my latest album, Under the Red Island Bakery, which was recorded in this very room. Thanks, Paul. Appreciate that. Dean Daniel says, hi, I'm a gigging musician in California. First live chat I've caught. Nice. Welcome, Dean. Thanks so much for joining. All right. So, yeah, we talked about, so if you've just joined us, we're talking about playing live as a solo singer, songwriter, and guitarist. And we've definitely got a few people in the live chat that are gigging musicians, which is great. And we've been talking about preparation, how to get prepared for a live show, utilizing Soundcheck effectively. And now I want to move to number 3, which is managing nerves. And, you know, I don't know how anybody else feels about when they get nervous before a show. But I kind of feel like everyone does to some extent. Obviously, some shows are a bit more nerve-wracking than others. But I definitely get nervous, you know. And just let me know in the chat if you also get a little nerves before a live show. I mean, I think everyone does, right? I think it's quite normal, quite a human thing to just get a little nervous before you go live. I get a little nervous before these live streams, you know, I got to admit. Just before I hit the go live button, it's a little bit nerve-wracking. But so I just want to talk about some of the things that have helped me get over nerves. And, you know, that might help you too. So how to stay calm, focused, and confident before and during a live performance. I think it's just staying calm is the key word there, you know, because I always try and think like, what's really the worst that can happen, you know? You mess up. Maybe people laugh. I don't think anyone would. I think most of the time, audiences, especially for singer-songwriters, most of the time the audience are just really nice people and understanding that people get nervous and make mistakes. So this is what I like to say sometimes. It's just, what's the worst that can happen? And at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter, you know. So I think everyone kind of gets nervous, and I think some people probably more than others, but in general, everyone gets a little nervous. And I was writing a few things, like ideas down about this, and one of the things I thought about was like alcohol. Alcohol can definitely help, you know, for calming your nerves. But I mean, what do you guys think? What do you think? Should you drink while you play? I quite often do, to be honest. I'm not going to lie. It's a lot of the time I'm playing in places that serve alcohol, and I have a beer. I very rarely have more than one, though. I usually kind of have my one. I might even take it on stage with me sometimes, you know. Sometimes I've done that before. And I'd slowly kind of drink it as the evening went through. So I'd make one beer kind of last a while, or whatever I'm drinking, you know. How does everyone else feel about that? Do you have a beer before or something, or does that help with the nerves, or do you just, no way, no, don't even touch it? I definitely find that interesting to see what people think. Let me know in the chat. Be interesting to see what people say about that. And it's something else that actually came up when I was thinking about it. Because, a lot of these things, I haven't actually done a live show in a little while, so I have to try to remember this stuff, what I used to do. But quite often I would sit in the place where everyone kind of comes together and speak to the audience beforehand. This is something I like to do, and kind of get to know them beforehand before I play. A lot of venues actually wouldn't work. In a lot of formal venues, they very much have their entrance where the audience comes in and sits down. It's very formal, and then they have the backstage part where you go and get ready and everything, and you never see them beforehand. But a lot of the time, a lot of the shows I was doing, they're very informal kind of places where you could just go up and just hang out, and talk. And this is something I quite like to do. And because I think there's something about not knowing who's in the audience, how many people there are. It's that kind of not knowing factor, which is the kind of scary thing, which was, I think, why maybe live streams are maybe a little bit scary, because you never know. I can't see you guys, I don't know who's on the other side of the screen. But I know you're all lovely anyway, so I don't worry about that. But it's funny, because sometimes actually live shows are a little bit like live streaming in a little way. Let me explain. Not the same. I'm not saying it's the same, but a lot of these big shows, you have these massive lights on you and you can't see anything. You literally, the audience is like darkness. And that's quite scary, if you can't actually see anyone there. It's just this sort of black void because these lights are so bright on you. I always found that a little bit terrifying. That's the only part that's like live streaming, is that you can't see anyone. But going back, so it's speaking to the audience beforehand is something that, a little hack, I guess, is something that I liked to do, and I recommend doing that. But let me know your thoughts on managing nerves. What do you like to do? Any thoughts on managing nerves? Do you have any tips for anyone else as well? Just let me know in the comments below. We'll go to the chat. Joanne says, I get nervous, don't gig, but play with people I don't know at picks and can't keep up when I'm nervous. What do you mean by picks? What is picks? It's in brackets. Am I reading that right? Picks. If you could clear that up. I'm not sure what that is. Can't keep up when I'm nervous. Yeah. I mean, it's. I understand that. I can understand how that. Can't keeping up with other musicians. I mean, I don't play but too much with other musicians, to be honest. Although I'd like to. I really would. If Joanne also says, if I have a few drinks, I'll lead the pick. Then I'm not nervous. Do you mean pick like a jam kind of thing? Is that what you mean? I think so, huh? Okay. Yeah. I think drinks sometimes can help, I think it's just not going overboard, isn't it? Not going too crazy with the drinks so that your playing is not too good because of the drinks. Picks is when lots of people who play guitar, mandolin, violin, stringed instruments get together and just play Whatever someone starts playing. Yeah, okay. Like a jam kind of thing. Yeah, I thought it was. Okay. Nice. Yeah. I mean, they're a lot of fun, you know. I should find more of these sort of pubs that have these picks, these jam nights, you know. I get a bit. It's nice to jam with other musicians, you know, just for the sake of jamming and having fun. This is always fun. Yeah. Neil Wallbank says, you have a great song. Thanks, Neil. On YouTube with a violinist. Not sure what you mean there. If you could... who's on YouTube with a violinist? What do you mean? Not sure what you mean there, Neil. Let me know what you mean by that. On YouTube with a violinist. Great song. And yeah. Joanne says, picks around here at campsites because all the pubs have closed. Really? Okay. Yeah, that's a shame. Well, campsites are also nice, you know, as long as it's not too cold. I'd like to do more of that for sure. So let's go back. So going back to managing nerves, just let's touch on this a little bit. So telling myself what's the worst that could happen. This is something like, and not putting as much pressure on myself. This is also something that I found I was putting way too much pressure on myself, saying that this has got to be the best show ever, you know. And realistically, I feel that it doesn't have to be the best show. People don't have to come away saying like, oh, that was the best show ever. That obviously that would be great, but I think as long as people go saying that was nice, I had fun, that was really nice, a really nice evening. That's all that I could hope for, you know. And yeah, like I said, speaking to the audience, also during the show as well. And that's something I want to touch on as well. And that's partly with connecting with the audience, which I find also helps with nerves as well. And that's the next point. So the point number 4 is connecting with the audience and storytelling, sharing personal anecdotes and sort of opening up to the audience. You know, this is something I quite like to do, and this really helps my nerves, and it also helps with connecting to the audience. And you know, I think that's, at the end of the day, that's all we're trying to do. We're trying to make connections, and if you're connecting with the audience and you feel like they're connecting with you, then it's just a really good time. You know, that's what I find a good gig is. A good live show is really feeling like you connected with people, and that everyone enjoyed themselves. So connecting with audience is also creating a welcoming and inclusive atmosphere. So I think, like, you know, people have got to feel welcome in the shows, right? It's not too good if they don't feel welcome. And sharing a little story here and there. I mean, most of my songs are about stories anyway, so a lot of the time, like I said before, with doing the set list, I would tell a little story about that song. I think we all can tell stories about our songs. All of our songs have some kind of story in there. How we wrote it, how we got the inspiration, where did that come from, what's the backstory. And sharing something personal, if you feel like if you open up a little bit to the audience, I find that kind of takes down that barrier. It takes down some sort of this barrier that we have when we first go on stage, and yeah, it kind of lets them in, and that feels nice. I find it feels nice, which helps with nerves and helps with connecting with the audience. And I've got a question for everyone. How does everyone feel about jokes? So those of you that play, do you tell jokes in your live shows? I feel like jokes should only be used if it's necessary, if it's part of the story, if it's part of the story, if it's part of the song, if it's got some connection with what you're doing with the song, then I think it works. You should tell it. But I saw this duo once. I can't remember who it was now. It's probably a good thing. And they were really young guys. They were really good, but they were really young, and they were just telling joke after joke. As soon as they finish a song, they'd just start telling jokes. And I think it was a form of kind of nervousness a little bit. They didn't really know what to say in between the songs. And so they'd just start telling jokes. And they were okay. They were fairly funny jokes. They weren't like really bad. But I feel like it was just, it wasn't really them being, they weren't opening up, they were just trying to make people laugh, and which is not necessarily a bad thing, but I feel like they weren't really being honest and true with everyone. They were just kind of filling the space with jokes. So it'd be interesting to hear what people think about that. Do you use jokes? Do you think jokes are a good idea? I mean, I love jokes, don't get me wrong. But it's like with anything, it's all in moderation, huh? I think you shouldn't use it too much. Let's go to the chat here. We got a few things, a few people saying some things. Neil Warbank, he says, "I'll find it. You, LOL, give me a sec." Not sure what that means, Neil. But, okay. Sounds good. Cool. Dean Daniel says, "I have a group of friends who play in a circle and go around the circle picking tunes. We all solo over the tune in We Wish. Mostly bluegrass. Okay. There are other jazz jams around like this as well. Yeah, that's really nice. That's really nice to have a group of friends who you do that with. I think it's just, for me, it's I need to put aside this time. Time. I find I'm always trying to find time to write songs and do my own thing and my own projects, and finding a moment out of my week or whatever to go out and jam seems. I get a feeling like it's. I almost feel guilty, when I go out and meet a friend for a beer. It's a weird thing to say. I feel like, I should be writing, I should be playing, I should be doing something. But I feel like we need this, we need to go out, and we definitely need to play with other musicians. This is something I'm trying to do more. I'm going to try and do this. I'm sure there's loads in Berlin of these jams. I'm just going to, and sometimes it's nice to just jam and not try and be fancy or clever or anything like this. Just have a good time. You know, this is nice. I need to do more of this in music, you know. This is nice. Cool. Joanne says, exactly, Dean. That's what we have around here. Yeah, lots of them. Normally in May, though, September. Pubs are closed because cops sit outside the door, pick off the drinkers as they leave. Okay. Is that DWI? TUI? Okay. Yeah. I get it. Really? Oh, that sounds kind of not fun. Antisocial drinking. Yeah. That's a shame that they don't do that anymore. But it sounds fun. It sounds fun for sure. Okay, we got Neil Warbank. Found it. LOL. Arvo. Afterlight. Yeah. You're talking about Arvo. I get it. Okay. You're playing alongside two violinists. Amazing. Thank you. Thanks, Neil. Yeah. So I did this this project. I'm still doing this project, although we haven't had a chance to play because he's in London in the UK, and I'm in Berlin in Germany. So it's been really hard. And then COVID hit, and then we couldn't see each other for ages. But it's kind of a duo called Arvo, ARVO, and that song that Neil's talking about is Afterlight. And it's we actually filmed it in my living room, and it was two. He's a violinist. Henry Webster is his name, if you want to search him or anything. And it was me, him, and then it was another violinist and a cellist as well. Yeah. And there's no singing or anything. It's kind of all just instrumental stuff, but it's really fun. So, yeah. Thanks, Neil. Glad you like that. Okay, Dean. Meant to say if we wish. Okay. Okay. Nope, no jokes. No jokes at all. Yeah. You know, sometimes it can work, sometimes it doesn't. But I definitely think you shouldn't overdo the jokes. So moving on. So we talked about, if you just joined us, we're talking about playing live as a solo singer, songwriter, and guitarist. And we talked about preparation, utilizing Soundcheck Effectively, managing nerves, and connecting with your audience. And just on connecting with the audience, I just want to talk about being yourself, be honest, and be real. I found for years I was kind of putting up a barrier, as I said before, and I wasn't really being open with my audience, and I wasn't being honest or being real. I think this is really important as well. It's just to try and be yourself and just open up to the audience. And I think 9 times out of 10 you'll find they'll accept you, and they'll respect you for opening up. Especially if you're a solo guitarist, singer. You know, it's not. I think it can be a different dynamic when it's a band, or if there's other instruments involved, and maybe it's a bit louder. Maybe people are drinking a bit more. It can be a different vibe, but you know, most of the shows that I do, people are sitting down. People are very quiet. People are listening intensely. And, you know, it's these situations where people are willing to hear you out, you know. So don't be afraid to open up and, show your vulnerability to them. So that's on connecting with the audience. And I got two more I want to talk about, and then I'll do another song. I know I'm going over. I've been going for almost an hour now, I think. Thank you so much if you're still here. Thank you so much for sticking with me and listening. As I said, most of this, this is very broad kind of topic, and with each of these sections, we could kind of dive in and do a whole live stream on each of these sections. But with this one, I just kind of wanted to go over these main kind of points that I feel some of the most important when playing live. So number 5 is dealing with technical difficulties. And this is an interesting one because it's happened a lot, and it does happen a lot. And I think that the most important thing is preparing for them and almost expecting them. So strategies for handling technical issues during a live performance it's just like prepare for problems, because they're gonna happen, So when I play live, I usually have a set of strings right by me, ready to go. Because if I break a string, I can finish a song with 5 strings, no problem. But then I think that's your moment to put a new string on, or swap the guitar and continue with your other guitar. But I usually have, I like to play with my main guitar if I can. So I usually have a little story that I like to tell when I need to use up time that I can't play, and so I can put the new string on, and I can tell this story. So that's a way to keep the audience engaged whilst changing the string. But that hasn't really happened to me very often, maybe once or twice, but not very often at all. But I always make sure I always have a spare set of strings to hand whenever I'm playing live. And that goes to the same with any other thing. So if you're using anything with a battery, a pickup with a battery, or like a tuner with a battery, anything like this, have these batteries there ready to go, and cables as well. Although most of the time, if your cable's working okay for the sound check and everything, most of the time it's very unlikely that it would break during the gig, but can happen, so prepare for it. So I always have a spare strings, spare cables, and let me know in the chat, what do you have spare? Do you have any spare things that you like to kind of have ready just in case? And what kind of problems have you dealt with in the live shows? I wish I had a story here. I don't think I've actually had any major issues. Oh, I have had one, but it wasn't during the live show. It was basically I'll try and make it really short, this story, but I used to live on a boat in London because they have lots of canals, and I used to live on a canal boat. And the thing about canal boats is they're really small. They're very narrow. They're literally like this wide. It's like living on a corridor, or in a corridor. And so I had like this storage space where I would keep a lot of my stuff because I couldn't fit it on the boat. And a lot of this stuff was musical stuff. And one of these things was actually my guitar, because I felt a lot of the time it was actually safer in this storage, because it was really secure in its proper one of these big sort of storage places than on my boat in the middle of London, which could get broken into and stolen, which has happened before. If you watch one of my YouTube videos about this guitar, had this guitar stolen from my boat. I got it back though. Anyway, that's another story. But on one gig I didn't think about it, but this storage place closed on Sundays and I didn't think on Saturday I needed to get all of the gear out that I needed because I had this gig on the Sunday, and I forgot. And Sunday came and I realized I didn't have anything for this show that I had to play. It wasn't too far. It was actually in London, but so I had to borrow a guitar. I didn't have any of my gear, nothing. Just I had to borrow like it wasn't a bad guitar. It was okay. Pretty, it was one of the mid-range Martin guitars, which was totally fine. Really nice that I was able to borrow that. But that's something that you don't expect and that can happen. And it turned out to be one of the best shows I've ever done, because going back to not putting pressure on yourself, I didn't put as much pressure on myself that it had to sound the best, because I realized I didn't have my guitar, so it doesn't matter if it doesn't sound great, because it's not my guitar, and it's I can say that, and it doesn't matter, so through the whole show I had this kind of, it doesn't really matter, we're gonna have fun attitude, which was great, and the audience felt that, and I felt that, and it was just elevated the show to another level. So that's something that can happen. I don't know why I brought this up, but talking about dealing with technical difficulties, and that was something that I felt was really good that I dealt with that. But lesson learnt to, if you have your stuff in storage, make sure that you can access it on the day of your gig. So that's dealing with technical difficulties. I'll just go to the chat here and see. We've got a few things going on. Picked up an Empress Para EQ Mark II. Nice. Based on your recommendation. Nice. Yeah, cool. I haven't actually tried the Mark II at all, but I've got a couple of the Mark Is, and they're amazing. Are using the Para to try to get tone, or relying on both? Tend not to be in a position to try EQ anything from stage. Okay, yeah. What do you mean by FOH? What is FOH? I'm just being really stupid. Oh, front of house. There you go. Got it. No, I use the Para EQ. It depends on what I'm using at the time, but I use the Para EQ for my pickup. Absolutely. To get the tone. And what I usually do is I find the frequencies that I don't like. I think I mentioned this on the video, and then I cut them out. So I'm kind of left with the frequencies that I do like. But yeah, I always take a Para EQ. It's for those who don't know, it's a parametric EQ pedal, which basically, instead of faders like other EQ, graphic EQ has kind of faders. This has knobs that you can turn, and you can basically dial in and find the frequency that you want or don't want, like finding on a radio, finding a tune on a radio, and then you can cut that and do what you want with it. So it has way more control over the frequencies. But yeah, I use that live. Absolutely. To get the best tone I can. Yeah, but I also use this microphone as well, and I also use a parametric EQ with this microphone as well, but not the pedal, not the parametric, the Empress. I use a rack-mounted parametric EQ for that one. And Joanne says, I always have spare strings. Capo, yeah, that's another thing. Capo or capo. Tuner in my case, yeah, not just for me, but for someone else who might have broken a string or lost their capo or tuner. Yeah, that's nice that you have it for someone else. Yeah, that's cool. You should always have these things. Yeah, capo, tuner, strings, cable. Yeah, nice. Batteries. Although I don't like using batteries. I'm not a fan of batteries. You know, they're really expensive, not good for the environment. Here's something I can show you. I got this recently. It's a Snark. It's one of the new Snark tuners. I don't know if you could see that. It's probably out of focus, but it's called Snark Air, and it's one of their tuners. It's not sponsored or anything like this. It's just USB, and you charge it up. It's great. It's fantastic, and it all lights up. But it's really nice, and it's a lot more discreet. I've got another one here. These Snark tuners. So these arms always break on me. I've been through so many of these. They always break. This thing, it's a lot more discreet. I like to have it on the back. If you can see it there. So it's really discreet, It's a lot more discreet than having this thing with like this sort of, it just doesn't look nice as well. But this Snark Air, so it saves you money in batteries, so you just have to charge it up and it lasts a while. It's got a little dot system to tell you how much battery you've got as well. So I'm really enjoying it. I've actually bought that recently and it's really nice. It's a little bit more. I think it was like almost 30 euros or something. But it's very nice. Just as a side note on that. Martin, my favorite guitar. Have 3. Oh, you got 3. Nice. The one I like the best and use the most often is my HD28. Yeah, nice, an HD28. Is that rosewood back and sides? I think it might be, huh? Lovely. Yeah. I do like Martin. With Martins, they have a very particular sound. Maybe one day I'll get myself a Martin because they are very different to Loudons, for example. They definitely have a certain sound, which is very nice. Cool. Another question. You doing that with headphones or listening to the mains as you play? That's a good question. So what you mean when I'm on live, when I'm playing on stage? I don't use headphones. I'm listening to the monitors mainly. Just trying to think what I did because I haven't done it in a while. It depends on the venue, but I actually try and move myself forwards as forwards as I can. So I usually sit down and play, but I try and like stand up a little bit and move forwards and see if I can hear the main speakers as I'm playing, as much as I can, so I can get a little bit of a feel for it. But other than that, then I listen to the monitors. Yeah. I wish there would be a better way for me to actually go into the stage and listen for myself how it sounds, I mean, I guess you can with a long enough cable. But as I said, I sit down and play, so it's a bit harder for me. But yeah, I use monitors on stage. Dean says, I've broken strings on stage as well. Yeah, I like to bring all the extras you have mentioned. Yeah. You say chords, batteries. Yeah, guitar chords, yeah. Like cables. Strings, power chords for amps, yeah. Picks, capo, yeah, exactly. Yeah, all of these little things, that can break, or you just need spares, as many spares as possible. I don't feel comfortable unless I have lots of spare things around me. Joanne says, snarks are the best. Work fantastic. Yeah, snarks are great. Except for this little arm thing. But other than that, they're great. I really like them. Dean says, I got one of those given to me at NAMM show this year. Nice. Oh, cool. Yeah, it's really nice. I'm really liking it, actually. I thought I'd do a little, maybe a little short video on it or something, but I'm really liking it. And Joanne says, yeah, I like that. Shows the back. It would be better in sunlight too. Yeah, I guess it would be better in sunlight. Didn't think about that. It's really bright. It's really good. Yes, it is rosewood. Yeah, I thought it was. Deep tone and sound. Nice. All right. Well, I'll do number 6 now because it's getting on now. It's coming up to 10:30 here in Berlin. So 6 is learn from previous shows. And this is something that actually I didn't do too much, that I've actually been doing recently here on the live streams. Because when I did a show, I would never record myself. Usually I wouldn't record it. And with these live streams, I'm able to record it, everything that I do, and I can watch it back. As cringy as that is, and as much as I don't like it, it's quite useful to seeing what I do and how to improve things, you know. Not that I think you should be analyzing every little thing that you're doing. It's just, you know, little things. Like I realized on a few live streams back, I would do this nervous thing, like I would scratch my nose a lot in this one live stream, and I was like, is that a nervous thing? I think it's a nervous thing. So I've stopped doing that now because I'm conscious of it. So you know, I've stopped kind of every time I bring my hand up to my face, I'm like, no, don't do it, stop it. So now I'm replaced that with now fiddling with the mouse. I don't know, but at least I'm not scratching my nose. So it's things like this, you know. So if you're able to even just record the audio of a live show, then you can listen back to it and you can kind of analyze it in a way, more for also how you performed a certain song, but how it kind of fits in everything with the structure of the set list, you know. I feel like it's only when we listen back till we actually realize how good or how bad it really was, you know. Because I feel it's hard to get the true objective, not objective, but it's hard to get to really hear how the audience heard it. So learning from previous shows is something that I'm trying to do more. It's hard though. It's hard not to be critical of yourself. But yeah, I think it's important to do that. And just on the last point, dealing with technical difficulties, I just thought I'd mention also staying composed and professional when things don't go as planned is also something that I feel like staying, not worrying too much about things. You know, things happen. You know, something might happen to the live stream right now, and that's okay. You know, things happen, and we will deal with them. But it's important not to panic too much. You know. Yeah. So I'm going to do another song now, and I hope everyone had fun in this live stream. I definitely did. And if you have any last questions or any last pointers for other people, one of the things that reasons I started this YouTube channel and this community is to kind of, you know, talk to other people that are doing a similar thing, and for us to kind of help help each other in a way, because when you're playing as a solo artist, it's important to also connect with other solo artists and support each other in what we're doing, So that's kind of what it's about. But I'm going to do a song called The River, and this was a song that I wrote when I was living on a boat in London. She's a drunk, a middle-aged mom. She had children when she was too young. Now it's something you might be surprised. 3 different kids from 3 different guys. She spends her time drinking away, drinking special brew every day. How did she end up this way? And people walking past would say, down by the river you may find nothing but tit and tat. Here at the river we all are just a bunch of river rats. He's a loner, he's an old man, an old boater that used to have plans. Now all he has is a very long beard, keeping him awake all these tears. He has one friend in all the world, his old dog with a long grey coat. He never sees the light of day, just waiting for time to pass away. Down by the river you may find nothing but tit and tat. Here at the river we all are just a bunch of river rats. That was The River. That was off my my second album, released in 2015, I think. I should know that. All right. So we'll go to the chat quickly before we end as we're landing the plane. Dean says, thanks for sharing, Fabian. Great stuff. Thanks so much, Dean. Very nice. You also said, kind of different than the Martins for sure. I have a J200, very deep, but D28 is quite good for that as well. Yeah, D28 is very nice. Okay. I missed some of your comments. Okay, you. I play Martins, Gibsons, acoustics mostly. Yeah, Gibsons are really nice. Gibsons, there's some really nice vintage Gibsons. I had a few back in the day. Kind of sold them though, unfortunately, regrettably. I sold them. I'd love to get some more Gibsons. I actually had a lovely 12-string vintage Gibson 12-string. It's very nice. Yeah. All right. Paul says, thanks a lot for what you're doing, Fabian. Thanks so much, Paul. Thanks for joining. Neil, thanks so much. Amazing. Miss you, boss. Thanks so much, Neil. Appreciate it. I appreciate you. Joanne, thanks so much. Yeah, thanks for joining. This has been very fun and interesting hour and show. Thank you. Thank you so much, Joanne. Really nice to have you on board the live stream today. Amazing. So as we conclude, for anyone that is rewatching this on the replay, thanks for making this far, because like we're going over an hour here. So in the conclusion, playing live is amazing, magical experience that we all should do, and I hope that you learned something and found this interesting and entertaining in some way. Let me know in the comments below if you enjoyed this or if you got some value out of this. Thanks so much. We got some more chats coming in, the live chat. Here we go. A late joiner. No hype, Mike. Yeah, this is a no hype. Thanks so much. Yeah, this is a no hype audio mic. LRM2. I've also got the LRM. I think it's the L. No, it's something else. I've also got the other one. They don't make too many. But yeah, this is a no hype audio. They're great ribbon mics, and they're pretty affordable as well. So yeah, this is that. Dean says, I still got an old 1928 Gibson L5. That is cool. Yes. Oh, that sounds lovely. I'm gonna have to look at some Gibsons pretty soon. Yeah, there's some really nice ones. I just love the vintage Gibsons. All right, thanks everyone for joining. It's getting a bit late here in Berlin, so I'm going to end this now. Thank you everyone so much. It's been a great one. There's been some really nice comments. Thanks everyone for your comments and for engaging. It's really nice when people catch the live stream, and yeah. So thank you so much, and I will hopefully see you all very soon in next week's live stream. Thanks. Bye.